to get myself back on. So I really believe in this product. So
Yes.
yeah, it's great.
Okay, Christine, good
All
morning.
right.
We are
Good.
excited to hear from you this morning. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's exciting day, and I was watching on Monday and Tuesday and stuff about uh, Adrian was talking about. Oh, just a minute, that little thing, because Adrian was talking about doing uh, three core, getting three on one side, three on the other side immediately. So you get six people and getting to 3 star. And of course, we know that's all the goal, isn't it? And why do we want to do that? Simply because we want to build a business. And I was just talking to my other group just a moment ago about what are you really doing when you're trying to lead and build a business? Are you really leading just with the product? Or are you building? Are you leading with the business? I always lead with the business. And it's like almost the perfect storm right now, which I really encourage you not to waste 1 second, 1 minute, trying to be the expert on the product and do all of this and that. I'm not the best thing like George. He's so good at the technical stuff, and I really admire him and learn a lot. But I'm not the best one on social media. I can't do all those, or maybe I just never taken the time to do it, but it's not my thing to put music with all the little things on the internet. But I think you do have to do things on social media. I think there's a lot of connections and the AI, we've got the app, we've got all the tools that we want. But even at that point, we really need to be reaching out and talking to people through that source or just doing warm chatter. I have talked about this so many times, but we have a lot of new people. I really am focused on training my people as I'm inspiring all of you to do the same thing. You have to really think about your board of directors. And when I say that, really, we hear it all the time, but do you really understand what that means to you? Any great company in the world has a board of directors. And on the board of directors, who do they select? They pick very smart people who have contacts with other companies. I'm thinking about David that this was years ago that a company came in and was asking, they wanted to be on a board of directors. And they wanted to know one of the reasons they were interviewing was because he had had contacts in many other companies. And that was one of the questions they asked. How do you get he was consulting after being the CEO of Amtrak. And they said, well, what do you do? And he says, well, the phone rings or I've got connections. Well, we did look at this. Uh, we that was one of the things we noticed, that you would know a lot of other people in different countries. And so that's what board of directors do. They're looking for people who have contacts so that they can bring business into that other business and also advise and have that background. And so I want you to think about that's some of you are really focused on getting doctors because you think, wow, they know a lot about this industry, and that's great. I personally, of course, I do have doctors on my team, and I'm really happy to have them. They add so much that I personally am not out there looking for doctors. Why? Doctors are great, but they're usually not business builders. They are more building their own practice and using these products to flow through their practice. And that's great. And they're part of my tree and I love them. But I really am looking for great people who are hungry, as Les Brown would say. We attract who we are, not who we want. So I am the big game hunter. I am looking for people. And I have some questions today that I'm going to 12 success questions to qualify any prospect, and some different questions I'm going to talk about. But generally speaking, you need to go through that whole list, or if you've gone through your whole list, go back and talk to them again. You don't know, life has changed. Maybe someone said no to you. But when I approach people, I'm asking questions about their life. What do you do? Are you how long have you been doing that? What does that entail? I'm asking questions. I don't go, oh, I'm in this new company and Three International, you would just love this new product and it has this and it's all molecules and all this. No, I'm looking for business builders. again, keep hearing that big game hunter. And if that dog won't hunt, I just move on and find another one. I'm looking for lions, tigers. I'm looking for eagles, because one good business builder is going to bring in over 1,000 people. So when I'm asking questions to someone, I might be in the nail shop, I might be, and I'm listening everywhere I'm going. My antenna is up. I'm just warm chattering everywhere I am. I might say to someone, I was sitting in the chair yesterday and there was a lady next to me, and I said, "Oh, I know you have an accent. Where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from Zimbabwe." I said, "Oh, South Africa." And we start talking, and I have a conversation. I just started visiting with her and jumping all over her, and I said, "What made you move here?" "Well, we started a business." "Really? Well, what kind of business was it? Are you still doing that? Are you retired? Are you active?" And I'm just asking questions. And then, I would go in and say, have you ever considered doing anything else? you know, um, and they'll tell me yes or no. And then she said, "Well, what do you do?" Then she started asking me, "Well, what do you do?" "Oh, well, I'm a networker. I just returned from Malaysia and Taiwan. I'm building a sales force. I'm looking for leaders that want to make $250,000, $500,000, $1 million a year and build teams of people to help people get healthy and wealthy." "Really?" "Yeah, yeah, it's an amazing new company. Love to share information." So, or maybe you might know somebody else. And then she says, "Well, do you have a card?" I said, "Absolutely." I said, "By the way, I'd like to have you try my new product." And then I just handed her the kinetic. And then, so we just exchanged. I was not verbal vomit to get over her. And then I got her information. Everywhere you go, you get their information. You just don't hand out sticks and then walk away, because then they never call you back. I mean, they always say they're going to, but they don't. But she's a business person. You see, they had started a business. I want people who are entrepreneur thinking, or maybe they're like I was 43 years ago. A prime target of recruiting people is between 35 and 45. We call it the midlife crisis. This is one of the biggest sections, and I want you to think about, who do you know in that age group? Yeah, because they've been working for a while, they've been laid off several times. They don't work for companies 35, 40 years anymore. I mean, they'll be changing, and now we have AI. We know that Goldman Sachs has said 300 million people are going to get laid off. Yeah, between Europe and the US. They are looking. These people also don't, I keep saying prejudge a million times, because this is important. People many times don't go out and actually say, "I'm looking for something else." But inside they're thinking they're dying. But you don't even talk to them about business. You just say, "Oh, I have this great product. You would just love it." And they go, "Well, I'm fine. I have supplements. I'm just fine." They don't even know what good is good. But of course, I'm not going in after the supplements right now. I know they'll all use them, as I do, but I'm asking questions. What do they do? Do they plan to do that forever? And get more questions. I might say things like, "What do you do? What does that entail? How long have you done that? What did you do before?" These are questions just that you're asking. Let's see, how are you being affected by what's going on in the economy? Are you worried about AI taking your job? Are you listening to my inflections? Are you worried about AI taking over your job? And they're kind of like, they may have been thinking that, you know. And how do you like what you're doing? You may assume they love it. Maybe they hate it. Have you ever thought about doing anything else? Are you familiar with the networking marketing industry? What experience do you have in other fields? what do you think are they, if they may say even, I've had this, but not often, about, have you ever, are you familiar with networking? Oh, it's one of those things, yeah, no, I wouldn't be interested. Oh, really? What would you not be interested in? How much do you know about networking? I always ask them. And they go, oh, it's one of those pyramid things. I go, no, actually, pyramids are outlawed. And I said, actually, it's a $200 billion industry. We've created more 6 and 7 figure earners out of that than any other in the world. And in the next 5 years, it'll be over $400 billion. It's a big umbrella of many companies of, health and wellness, tech, cosmetics, this industry. I said, I understand how you feel, felt, found. I used to feel the same way until I found that I wasn't really educated onto the, and since then I've made X amount of dollars or whatever. And they go, really? What? And I said, yeah, I'd love to visit with you. Just give you more information. Maybe it's for you, maybe not. But our company, we're looking for leaders now. I'm actually looking for about 10 great leaders to be in my board of directors to help build a big organization worldwide. And maybe it's something for you, maybe not. Or maybe, who do you know that might be interested in making extra income for retirement, worried about losing their job? Maybe people, young people coming out of college that can't find work right now. Who do you know? See, top networkers always ask the question, who do you know? Even if they're not interested. These are just basic things, but I am focused only on business builders, period. Because one good business builder will bring 1,000 people in. You get 10 people on your board of directors who have influence, they're go-getters. Who are go-getters? They get the most done. She could be the president of the PTA because they have influence and have access to a lot of people, a lot of parents. They may be the person in the church that does the potlucks, always does everything, but they have a list of everybody in the congregation that they can call. It's just people that know people. If I go to a party and I see someone just sitting over in the corner on their iPhone and they're not engaging, I'm not really interested in them, because that means they're not a people person. In fact, if someone says to me, oh, I don't like people, then they shouldn't be in our industry. I don't want them. I want somebody that comes into an event. It could be at the family reunion. Or I meet them at a party and everybody's flocked around them because everybody likes them. That means they have influence. That means they can draw people to wherever they're going. They don't have to drag people. People naturally want to be with that person. Think about all those people that that are like that. They have influence. And then we have this, what we call attraction principle. They attract who they are. It's that, I've said this before, if you were to write a number from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm looking for the 8, 9s, and 10s. The ones that are excited about life, work hard, they're excited, they're entrepreneurial, they're business owners, they're looking for opportunity. I'll give you an example. I was on my way going to Malaysia 2 weeks ago. In my, I live about 3.5 hours from the Denver airport. So I knew I had to get there. I could not miss my flight. There are other local airports in Vail and Aspen that I could have taken, but I didn't want to take the chance of missing my flight. So I hired this guy to come pick me up, a driver, and he was driving. And he drove me to the airport. So now we have 3.5 hours to talk. And he tells me his story. And his story is he was a translator in Afghanistan for the Americans. And he was able to get out of In 2015, he was able to get a visa before Afghanistan fell. I'm listening, I'm asking questions, I'm really engaged in his story, I'm really interested. And that's important for you to be interested, because everyone wears an invisible sign, make me feel important. So, George, get that kinetic. You're yawning. So he tells me the story, and he says, yes, my brother and I were able to get here. But and I said, well, and so he now owns his car, and they're driving back and forth, and he has a place in Aspen, and then he has a place in apartment there to take care of the people in Aspen, and then he has a place in Denver where he lives. But now he was able to bring his wife over from Afghanistan, and that was another story, and I won't go into all of it. Very intriguing. But he's going on, and I'm asking more questions. Well, what does your wife do? Well, she's thinking about going back to school. We're always looking for business opportunities. And I said, really? Well, I might have a solution for you. Would you be open? Well, yes, tell me about it. And so then, of course, I gave him the kinetic. I said, you be sure this will help you keep awake when you're driving all these cars. And I said, and he says, oh, yes. And he was so proud. He says, yes, I have a home near the airport. I'd like to drive you by my community and show you my house. And it's by this big hotel, and I'm going, well, I said, I just don't have time. I can't miss my flight. I have to catch a flight to LA, then catch it to Taiwan, Malaysia. And I said, but maybe when I come back, we can do that. Well, sure enough, he said, well, now be sure to tell me. I want to know all about this, and I want you to meet my wife. And we're always, again, he's saying, we're always looking for opportunities. Immigrants are always looking for opportunity. They're actually almost harder working than Americans. So when I got off the airplane of 30 hours, now I'm really kind of tired, thinking, well, maybe, maybe he won't talk about it right now, and I can call him next week and follow up. But no, he immediately says, oh, my wife is waiting for you. And I said, oh, that's great. So now I have to call my husband and tell my husband, I said, I'm going to be a little longer. I won't be home in 3.5 hours, probably be closer to 5 hours. And so now he brings me to his home, and he's so proud of this beautiful home that he has. His wife comes out, and she puts everything out, all the nuts, and she's made homemade bread, and she's made a watermelon juice, and she's done this and that. Hungry people looking for opportunity. And what was their goal? Just to pay off their house. They want to pay off that house so that they don't feel the stress, because so he has to make at least $5,000 a month for the car, house, new baby coming. So they are hard working. And I said, okay. So I build a relationship. I sit down, listen to their whole story about how they were connected through the families, etc. But I like people like that. So now we have another appointment that they will be coming to my house, and they'll drive, and then we will go through the marketing plan, and his brother also. And so what did I do? I said, well, how many more Afghan people live around here? Oh, there's a big community right around us. But he said, I also know when I first moved here in Virginia, that's where I was stationed, huge population of Afghanistan people, and in Sacramento, California. I'm going ching, 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 ching. Now, if I can get the right people in those communities, do you see? You get a good leader or two, it takes off and they spread, because they herd together, different ethnic groups, so they trust each other. So that is one person that I'm working on now. So I'm looking for immigrants. I'm looking for entrepreneurs. I'm looking for people that are hungry, that are afraid about losing their jobs, because I don't want to drag anybody across. I want self-starters that will show up and be coachable. And I think that's the biggest mistake. Is listen to any top networker, they'll say, what was the biggest mistake that you make in your industry? And they'll say, I tried to help the people and wanted it more for them than they wanted it for themselves. And you try to spend all this time trying to save them, trying to convince them, and they're just not an eagle. They're not a tiger. They're just nice people. And so you really have to assess your team today. You really need to look at who are you working with? Who is a go-getter? If you feel that you don't have a go-getter in your group, then you need to go find new people, the go-getters. Because again, what did I talk about in the Afghanistan community? If I get the husband and the wife to start building, and then the brother, they will find other people like themselves, that attraction principle. The 8, 9s, and 10s will attract all the way down to the 2s, 3s, and 4s and bring 1,000 people in. And then they will attract other people like themselves. And then suddenly I'll have 2,000. And then they will attract other people like themselves. Then you'll have 3,000. And then you'll have 4,000, 5,000. The numbers multiply by getting the right people. But just doing one customer at a time is going to take you forever. Does everybody get that? Forever. And you're going to be frustrated. And then you're going to say, I can't do this business. I'm trying. You just have to talk to the wrong people. They are disguised. They come in all colors, but they have an inner core. Make me feel important. I'm looking for opportunity. So I'm asking questions. What do you do? How long have you done it? Are you concerned about the economy? I'm asking questions. And you know, and if they, and then when I say, are you familiar with the networking industry? Well, no, one of those things. And then I tell them my objection. I tell them a few things. And I say, what do you, or they may say to me, I've had this once in a while, oh, I was in something else and it didn't work out. I just don't believe. And I said, well, why do you feel that you weren't successful? And then I'm asking questions, because then they'll say, well, my upline didn't help me, or I was in the wrong place. All these things will come out and say, well, would you be open to looking at another opportunity where you didn't have those obstacles? You see, I'm just that you wouldn't have those obstacles. Now, I'm just really kind of qualifying people. That's my whole message. I'm listening to people. I'm not looking necessarily for pampered poodles, women that have been taken care of all their lives. You know, I'm looking for the women who are done this, raised a family, worked a job, doing this, doing that. They're multitasking, but are hungry. And that's where I was 43 years ago. I was looking for something more. But another lesson, these people many times will not respond at that exact moment. When they said to me, well, we think you'd be great, America. I said, no, thank you very much. I'm not interested. I was not thinking that at all, but I just wanted them off my back. But they showed me the money. They talked about the possibilities of what could be done in this industry. And I went home and I thought about it for 3 nights. And I thought, I wonder if I could do this. I don't know. Self-doubt. Because I'd never been in business. I've been in school my whole life. I've been in elementary, high school, college, right into the classroom. I've been in school all my life, had no business experience. I was nervous, but the seed had been planted. But you know, lesson number 1, nobody ever called me back. That friend never called me back to say, well, see, now what she should have done was, you know, Chris followed up the next morning, said, Christine, I know you said you weren't interested, but we really think you'd be a leader. And there's a great opportunity in this company for you. Would you be open just sitting down some more and go into more details? And then I would have said, yeah, but they didn't. They did not, because they believed me. Now, how many people said no to you? Did you follow up around And if they're not interested, then talk to somebody else or get referrals from them because they always know other people. But as again, the seed was planted. And what I love about our marketing plan versus others is that 3 months after that, when I was fed up teaching and my husband's job, now all of a sudden, my husband's losing his job in that he was a real estate broker. Tax laws were changing. And before, years ago, in California, you pay 70, and federal tax, you're paying 75% in taxes on your income. And Ronald Reagan came in and then dropped it down to 35%. And then nobody needed tax deductions. They weren't buying real estate. They didn't need the write-offs and appreciation. So his business was going away. Now, none of my friends knew that. I didn't go broadcast it to the world after he was making $250,000 a year and $500,000, then suddenly it's stopping overnight. And I'm teaching school. I'm going, I need more money. I didn't tell my friends that. People will go broadcast that out. So that's why you have to be planting seeds and talking about opportunity, because you never know where they're going to come from. So that afternoon when I came back, I called my friend, I said, who had never called me since, and said, Christine, she said, her name was Billy, actually. I said, Billy, what does it take to do that Mary Kay thing? Are you still doing it? And she said, oh yeah, it's $85. And in those days, it was like to buy a kit. And I said, can I come up and sign up? She said, what? She probably wanted to drop the phone. I was her first and only recruit. And she recruited the number one in Mary Kay. Think about that. Now, I went up there, I signed up, and then I never saw her again. She never took me to training. I never used her as my excuse. My directors, my leaders, we didn't have Zoom calls. I had to drive an hour and a half down each Monday night to meetings, self-starter. I saw the picture. And you know what? If she never did anything, I never blamed her. But here's the deal. If she'd been in 3, guess what? If she'd recruited me and she recruited her husband, she would have ended up getting 30% on a matching check. Even if she wasn't really cycling a lot of money. She got nothing. She got nothing. And I made millions and millions of dollars. Think about what's 30% on $20 million? What is that, George?
6 million.
Think about that. Because she recruited the right person. You don't know who you're going to recruit. And you have the opportunity, the marketing plan that will pay you, even if you don't end up cycling for it. Like maybe you don't cycle 27,000 a week. Maybe you just have one here and one there and just another friend or a relative, but you recruit me or George or somebody else. Everybody get that? So I want you to think about that this morning, because there are people out there right now like me that are looking, that are not talking about that their life's changing. They're worried about AI taking over their jobs. They're go-getters. They're influencers. And you get 10 of them on your board of directors. Boy, you're off and running. And the numbers will multiply. And you will start cycling, getting those 10 great people. And then you also will get those matching checks. Even if you decide not to cycle a lot, if you just happen to get the right person. And believe me, out of 80 million people, there are 10 people for each of you. They are. There's that driver from Afghanistan. They're all around you. They're the lady at the nail shop. They're the lady at the restaurant, this restaurant manager. They're everywhere. As you go out today, I want you to see all the people around you that are passing by you, and you never talk to them because you're afraid of rejection. What will they think of you? So when you're looking for people today, ask questions. What do they do? Build a relationship. Would they be open? Are they planning to do that forever? Are they considering doing anything else? And they say, yes, well, I might have a solution for you. I'm looking for people, leaders, to build this new company. And so those are kind of my words of wisdom this morning, George. And with
Yeah.
that, I know it's 9 o'clock, so I will finish. I hope that will help give insight to some of you today, not to be afraid to talk to people because you don't know what's going on in their life. But getting the right people is so, so important, not just to be talking about the product. It's I'm leading with the business because they'll bring in thousands of people that are going to use the product for their personal use. And I'm going to use it too. Okay. Okay, that's it, George.
Thank you. Yeah, amazing. And that the bottom line talk to everybody and for people that like people, not people that
Yes.
dislike people. That I think that's the biggest most important part. Imagine the person that signed up, Christine, didn't say, I'm signing up a big networker. She said, I'm signing up somebody that is to be a teacher.
Good morning.
Oh,
Oh,
somebody say good morning there. Hi, how are you?
Hello, hello. Okay,
Good morning,
I hope
Antoinette.
do I have this
Antoinette, you're
party
on.
started?
An- An-
Yay!
Antoinette, you're on.
Hold on a minute. I'm like,
Antoinette, you're on. All right, there she
Okay,
goes. Sorry.
okay.
Continue on, George.
For a second. Good morning. Anyway, yes, it's like you said, and one day somebody signed you up and say, "Oh, she used to be a teacher, etc." She didn't know who she was going to be, and probably she never found out because, like you said, she never connect to you with you again, and who knows where she is right now. Or somebody I said, I just signed up a guy that barely speak English and is waiting tables. He didn't say I'm signing up somebody that's going to be a networker, or like the person signed me up in the platform company before. Hey, I just signed up a guy that is broke, is a butcher and is 75 years old.
Yeah,
And this guy went to earn over $100 million after 75. Think
yeah,
about that. And like imagine the person that signed up for Jimmy, if he had this pay plan, like you say, we use $6 million with that company, 30% of 100 million is $30 million. Or the person that signed up that accountant that was broke losing her job, that's King Wee, over $100 million too.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, you never know who you are sponsoring. And that's why you have to talk to everybody, people that like people, especially. But thank you very much. That was so, so cool. Anybody wants to add anything? Okay, great. Make sure you apply what you learned today. And by the way, this week we still have the packages. And also, well, just keep information because we are going to have the call with the company. And again, thank you very much for being in the call, Christine. It's a great inspiration for everybody.
Thank you,
Uh,
Black Pro.
and common sense, by
Thank
the
you,
way.
Christine. This was
Thank you,
amazing.
Christine. That was amazing. Powerful
Just-
talk.
I just want to chime in. I really inspires me because every time I listen to you, Black Crow, you make me just give me more energy. And I'm here in Vegas trying to go back to Santa Barbara because my Adrian left me. She's back. So anyway, I'm on my own, but yeah, I really enjoy listening to you. Thank you for sharing.
Well, Caroline, I know you're going to be great. And George told me more about your background recently. And so you're a go-getter. You're an influencer, so you can do this. So you're in good hands with Georgia and Adrian and the rest of us. So you go
Yeah.
build that Las Vegas another place. Fly in that airplane of yours. Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody.
All right.
Have an amazing.
Is everybody going to go get those 10 great people?
Yes.
Yes, we want one like you, Christine.
Yes, ma'am. The opposite.
Yeah. Well, they're there. They're out there waiting.
Okay.
They're out there.
They're out there.
They're
There are a lot of
there.
people hungry.
They're there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
They need
3% of the
you.
people that are out there are willing to do whatever it takes to
Right.
be successful. 3%, but you have to have 97 no's for that.
Right. Remember that the world needs you. The world needs you.
That's right. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you. Have an amazing day tonight. Make sure you see the company wellness company night and also the Spanish call tonight after the company call. Thank you very much, and we talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks,